This meeting is held in person, can be viewed on local cable channel 1303 or via the internet by going to townhallstreams.com and selecting Bucksport. You can email questions or comments prior to or during the meeting to slassard@bucksportmaine.gov or call during the meeting at 469-7368. Roll call, Jake.
Councilor Eastman?
Here.
Councilor Morrison is absent. Deputy Mayor Bissonnette?
Here.
Mayor Stewart?
Here.
Councilor Ormsby?
Here.
Councilor Downs?
Here.
Councilor Rankin?
Here. Continuing on with our budget meetings, tonight we have, starting off, Education, Superintendent Boothby.
Good evening, everybody. I gave you a handout. I'll refer to those as I go through and give you the overview. The overview starts off that our budget is up 4.38%. Total value of $16,998,644. The primary drivers, this is not going to come as any surprise to people, is salaries, benefits, and commodity costs. We've seen significant increases. When you budget for 36,000 gallons of diesel fuel and your price goes more than double, that's a major impact on your budget. The good news is that while the budget is up, the overall impact to the communities have been mitigated because we received significant additional general purpose aid. Now that we have education fully funded at 55%, it makes a significant difference. What we did see in the district, and the data is later on in the papers you can refer to, is the overall valuations of the four communities, while they went up, the 3-year average was below the state average, so that poured very well for us. And our student count, though it went down, was far less than the state average. So in both of those measures, that allowed us to receive more general purpose aid, which is wonderful. So the overall impact locally, with that additional money, before I go there, I want to point out that the $615,000 of additional general purpose aid, $207,000 of that is the payment for our lease purchase for our buses. We were able to, and that transition to busing, we have 23 buses now that the district owns. The total cost to RSU 25 for those buses will come out to be $117,000 because we were able to leverage the federal money and because we got financing for the 12 new buses through the state. So that's been a real boon for us, and it was a great, things worked out well. Unfortunately, we had to go through a pandemic, but we took advantage of that opportunity. That has saved the district. When you net out the cost of busing and compare it to the bid price that First Student provided us, we're well over $100,000 to the good relative to that in the second year of operation. So that's ahead of schedule. So the local impact to Bucksport is a 0.61%. I think that's probably the smallest increase we've had since I've been superintendent here, or the dollar increase of $26,674. Overall, all of the communities saw very small increases, which is fortunate. We were able to fully fund our programs. The board we're anticipating the board will adopt this budget Tuesday night and call the warrant. Other things that folks need to be really looking towards is we are going to be seeking approval to use capital reserve monies to affect improvements on our middle school athletic fields. We have been unable to use those for the last 3 years. This is going into the 4th year. We need to get that up and running, but it's going to take a significant investment in drainage, getting topsoil on just under 4 acres of grassed area, and making sure we're doing things right there. So getting irrigation up to the field, getting irrigation on the field so we can maintain grass and keep it healthy. So once that's in play, we should have an excellent complex up there and be able to use for the community. Okay. As we look out over the horizon, one of the first things I heard when I came to Bucksport was keep facilities operational, take care of them. We are going through significant review of all of our infrastructure. We've had challenges with boilers. Both our boilers at the Miles Lane School are over 30 years old. We've we've been investing a lot of money just getting those up and running. We have also a boiler in question at the high school. Overall, there's new standards for HVAC. We have to upgrade our HVAC systems to meet those standards. The Jewett School has no HVAC to speak of, only just in the areas where the Head Start area is. So that's a significant investment there. We do have an application in with our ESSER money for a $1.4 million project to put HVAC into the Jewett building, upgrade that. But we've got a number of issues that will probably come out with the mechanical services. They'll be doing a final report out 1st of June. We do know the middle school, the original model for the middle school, by the way, the last payment on that is this coming fiscal year, had a masonry exterior, but for cost savings that was cut back, and a significant portion of the building now has a siding that is a vinyl wrap fabrication board, and that has failed. And we've identified that. We're seeing water intrusion, and it's bubbling, and so we're going to have to address that. We've gone through, and we're having engineering study done on that as well to figure out how to fix that most
Does that
effectively.
also incorporate the Performing Arts Center too, or?
Yes, that's part of that is on that, on the back side.
On the
Some
field
of
side?
Field side, there's some of that there. But if you look around, anything's that the beige color, that's the siding we're talking about. I'm suspecting that's going to be more than $1 million project to take care of. What the board is doing is they're taking advantage of opportunities to put as much money as they can into capital reserve. Obviously, if we're going to have all these projects, we're going to have to tap into different pools and funding sources. We know the Jewett School, we could do most of that HVAC. I'm not going to say all of it because prices have changed so rapidly since we last got that price. But we do have $1.4 million there. The capital reserve, even after we get approval for the middle school project over the next 2 years, we'll be able to get that back up over $1 million. So that's going to help out a lot. But we're going to have to look at other financing, whether it's through revolving renovation projects through the state or other types of vehicles to fund those. We're going to have to do it because...
Now, I know Mechanical Services has their own financing too when they
Yeah.
incorporate these projects that we've worked with at the school, and
Yeah.
it can be a pretty good rate.
And that's what we're looking at doing. And by doing that, part of the law requires that they have to guarantee a savings, and you can use that savings to offset your cost of the financing. And they have to stay with you for 10 years to make sure that that follows through. So we've got entered into that agreement with Mechanical Services. So, but that'll be brought forward to the board in June, and we'll start making a plan. And my guess is we'll attack that over the next 2 to 5 years, just to make sure we have things in place. Another thing that lurks out there is the required water testing. We're undergoing water testing for lead. They've changed the levels of acceptable evidence of lead in drinking water in schools. We've tested 2 schools so far. We've been fine on both of those. We're working our way down the hill, which means we're working from newest to older schools, so I suspect we'll probably run into some challenges either at the high school or the Jewett School. If so, we'll have to remediate that and change fixtures and fountains and things like that. But, so there'll be a lot of attention paid to the schools in terms of their facilities over the next few years. But overall, for this year, I think we're in a good place. The budget, while it has a significant increase, the additional revenues from general purpose aid really offset all that, and that's fortunate. So happy to answer any questions, and I gave you all kinds of data, and happy to discuss any of that with you.
Questions?
Are your contracts public yet?
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys negotiate those out
Yeah.
this year?
Yep, those are already posted on the website.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was quite a process. When we looked at where our contracts were, we were significantly behind regionals.
Yep.
And the board had to make a significant effort that way in order to attract and maintain quality people. And I think you folks are experiencing that in other areas as well. So, but we were successful in negotiating that, and it helped.
Yep.
And actually, that makes up, just those increases make up over 2.5% of this increase.
Is your capital expenditures under, is that a cost center on its own or not? I'm just wondering, where's that money in your budget?
That's a reserve, that's a separate, that's outside of the general budget.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and how we can seed that and how we can expend that is through voter approval through our district budget process.
So you seed it the same way you expend it?
Yeah. And I know this year's warrant, the question's going to ask authority to transfer up to $600,000 of unallocated balance forward into that reserve and expend up to $350,000 for the middle school project.
So you're taking your balance forward to fill in? Is that
No,
what you
it's an
said?
unallocated balance, which is different than a balance forward.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a technical term, but once you factor in all of the encumbered cost and what's left over, what your net assets are, then you can take that money and you're allowed up to 9% beyond your current fiscal budget to have an unallocated funds. And so we're asking to take portions of that and move that into the reserves.
Okay.
Does the amount, that 9%, does moving it into reserve
Takes it out of that 9%.
takes it out of that 9%?
Yes, it does.
So the, you get to retain the money by putting it into a reserve for
Reserve.
long-term,
Right.
and still have other funds to offset additional unanticipated
Exactly.
operating expenses with that 9%, is that
That's
correct?
Yeah. And the-
That's sort of where I was trying to
Yeah.
get to. Thank you.
I wondered if that was
And the board's target is right around 6%.
Okay.
That's where they want us to manage that.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Boothby. Look,
Excuse me.
Yep.
On the last page on the special education
Yep.
folks population, it says percentage of total valuation.
You know what, I'm sorry, Jim, that's a misprint.
I think that should say
Total
number of
population, total, yeah, thank you, good, thanks for pointing that out.
Thank you. I assume that's what it was.
Yeah, I got carried away with cut and paste.
anything else? Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Next up is debt service. We have a debt service one we don't really. It was not, it was like, basically for the roads and for something else. Yeah, it was like for the roads and the rest of the, I mean, the swell in the states.
I got that email about. Oh. You already did. I forgot what you were talking about. I'm so confused. What's that mean? Right. Is the part.
Okay, our long-term debt has two components right now. One is, back when the town built the CSO building down here, you apportioned a certain amount of general fund budget a year towards retiring the debt on that. And that amount annually is $15,412. You see that number every year. That's the number that was identified. That's the number that literally moves from the general fund budget to the sewer budget to pay a portion of that CSO cost. And the second line item is the road bond, your 3-year road project. The estimated debt service on that for the coming year is around $292,000. we paid 1 year, that's a 7-year progressive, based on when we borrow those pieces, so it'll actually stretch out over almost 10 years because of the way we've done it, which makes the payments smaller than they would have been otherwise. But that is all of our long-term debt that's unrelated to the sewer treatment plant.
And when is the CSO one paid off?
Excuse me?
When is the CSO one, the 15,000 paid it?
That,
That was 28, 25?
no, it's further out than that. You did that in 2011.
No, I said it was a 25-year.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
So it's like 36 or something. Yeah. That was the one that was supposed to mean you never had to have the
Other one.
14 million one. Sorry, what happened? Like,
Right.
hell.
Any questions?
I have to say that this debt business is a very low debt in terms of the valuation of the community. The sewer debt is one thing, but the municipal debt is a very small percent.
Any questions?
That's the first one.
Police.
Okay.
Public safety is next. First up is police.
Okay, I left you an updated police budget for your book on it, only because when the first one was done, the proposed contract information was in it, but since that time, we've actually hired people, and one of the persons is a fully trained law enforcement officer, which goes in at a different rate than one who is not. I don't. How do I make more of my screen show?
Keep going back.
Hmm?
Oh, you mean
You know what I mean?
more of the spreadsheet?
Yeah, well, I don't think I can do that. No. There we go. I think that's as good as it gets. So, I'm going to talk about the wages, and then Public Safety Director Gagan and Deputy Chief Winchester will talk about other components of that if you have questions. As everyone is aware, public safety wages, police wages have escalated dramatically in the last 3 years. 3 years ago, when we did a contract, we brought police wages to comparability for our region based on Hancock County Sheriff and others. And in 3 years, we have, as everyone has, been left behind in a very significant way in terms of wages. And the wages that you see here that are reflected in this budget are not the highest in the region, they're not the lowest in the region. What they do is allow us to compete for personnel. We have communities within rock throwing distance that are offering $30,000 sign-on bonuses for police officers. We can't compete with that, but providing wages that are comparable and benefits that are comparable, that allows us a chance. The reduction in the number of people going into this career field is one, and then the pressure is put on it from all sorts of other things is the second. But as I said, that's what the wage numbers are driven by that. And during the contract discussions with the steward of the union, they had done a really good job of providing comparability figures for communities that are actually the communities and entities that we compete with for our police personnel. And the only other larger wage is the change from animal control from part-time to full-time, which was something that we discussed earlier this year that I had indicated to you I would be putting into the budget. And the rest of all this fun stuff, Public Safety Director Gagan will be happy to.
Tear down, set up. No food for you.
You got that on board?
I do.
You can click right on top of Sue's.
Okay, I assume we're starting with police, Mr. Mayor? Is that
Yep.
what we're gonna do? If you look at your budgets on the left side, I do this every year with you, you'll have account numbers on there, starts with 01, all the way down through the budget. I will go down through those and explain any increases. The 01 account is our payroll, where everyone's paid from. You'll see a 17.9% proposed increase there. As Town Manager Lassard just said, that is solely due to union wages. On the left side, under years of service, you will also see a 6 and an 8 year addition to the bottom. That reflects as part of the increase in that line also. The 6 and the 8 years were not in there in years past, but that was added. If you look at the 02 line, which is full-time, extra, and overtime, that number looks large at 52.6%. And the reason for that is the new union wages, and if you look at the last line on that, also the new K-9 unit and overtime wages are in there also.
Can you explain what that is?
Basically, with the K-9 unit, there's mandatory overtime every week for taking care of the dog. And it's basically a state rule or law that has to be paid for him to take care of the dog every day of the week. It's not, he doesn't take the dog home and put it in a kennel and go on vacation or let him on the couch to watch TV. He has to train and groom that dog every single day of the week.
Why isn't that 365 then?
Which one's 365?
I mean, is that an hourly rate? 300 hours, right?
Yeah, 300 hours at $44.51 an hour.
And I guess if it's supposed to be every day, should it not be 365?
But I think it's based on a half hour a day.
So then shouldn't it be 185?
Yes, it could be. Can you explain that one, David, as far as the number, you worked this out with Matt on the number of hours.
So, on his days off, his 3 days, we work a 4 on, 3 off. So his 3 days off, he is required to be paid overtime for the grooming and the care of the dog.
He's required to be paid 1 hour, half hour?
1.5 hour every day. On the days that he works, we can do one of two things. We can pay him the overtime, or we can change his schedule from a 10-hour day to a 9.5-hour day. So what we've chosen to do is on his Wednesday, Thursday, Friday shifts, he's going to come in at 6:30 instead of 6. I'm already there, so I'll cover that half hour. On a Saturday evening, when he works 4 to 2, he will leave at 1:30 instead of 2, so we don't have to pay him that half hour. We were able to do it through his hours work. So that number could have been higher, but we've done it for that.
And I'm just asking, it seems high now, though. If he's only getting a half an hour for his 3 days off per week, that should only be like 150.
I don't know. Let me see that figure.
It's 300. You got 300 in
I don't know why we put it 300.
Could you just check that for us? And thank you.
there. Take note of that if you would. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the 03 line, training payroll. That's due to new union rates and overtime rates increasing. The investigation payroll is minus 0.2 02, we did not increase that, we kept it the same because that's something that we don't use on a regular basis, we left it as is. The animal control, as Town Manager Lassard just stated, you'll see a major increase there with a proposal of a full-time position. That's the 06 line. From there are no increases in the next several lines until you get down to the equipment purchase line, which is 41. And that's a proposed 10.82%. That's due to the cost of ammo going up. Next line down is parts and repair, 22.10%. You'll see the last line of that says WatchGuard video warranties. Our body cameras that we have are very, very expensive, and the officers wear them on front of them, and from time to time they do get damaged, and they're very, very expensive to repair. We did that this past year, and as PC Winchester will tell you, that has already more than paid for itself in 2 or 3 repairs that we've done with those. So it is something that is essential, and we're using those every day for sure. Telephone cost, the 9.23% is due to a K9 phone and the K9 Cruiser that we didn't have before. Line 71, heating costs, that's negotiated by the town on town bids. Fuel cost below it is the same thing, that's on town bid.
Just real quick, do we have a number on that yet, Sue? So that's just a placeholder, correct?
That's a placeholder for right now because I still haven't been able to get
Okay.
a commitment that, we have until October to get that commitment. Right now we have enough fuel for our diesel and gas contracts to last through the summer that will be left over at the end of this contract at our old rate. It may be naive, I am hoping that the costs are headed down by that time. They're almost at an unsustainable increase rate.
What is that rate right now?
2.37 for
Okay.
diesel and
Wasn't it like 179 or 189 or something for the gas?
yeah, no, our gas is a rack price. It's without taxes.
Right.
It's considerably lower than what it is now, but it's higher than. But our diesel price, I know, is the fixed price. Gas contracts won't bid a fixed price. They only bid rack.
Thanks.
And we're down to the bottom of the total proposed 24.90% overall. Now,
Questions?
I'll look at that K9 thing more, but I believe that that's actually weekly training, Mr. Mayor, not the grooming side of things. I think it's training for the year, but I will look at that and let you know.
Thanks. Any questions?
So the animal control officer is not included in the union, correct? Or
No.
they are? No.
No, it is not.
And that one's moving to a full-time position.
That's what's proposed.
Yep.
At that rate,
And there are benefits of that too?
yes.
Dispatch is next, Chief.
Do you know how to focus this machine? Or that's just me? I can see it well here, but they can't see it at home, I can tell you that. You know where the focus is on that?
No, that's the one stuff, the one you missed. Yes.
That's as good as you're gonna get it right there.
I think you're right. Okay, the dispatch has the same numbers, again. If you look at the 01 line, 14.5, that's union negotiated wages. That also reflects in the 02 line. Looking down through there, the averages obviously go up. We also, in that line, if you look at where it says Barbara, we have an increase, 20-year step for a dispatcher that goes up to 5 weeks of vacation. So that increases there. So that proposed increase is 33% on that line itself. The training payroll, the 03 line, we have a dispatcher getting a 1-year step there, Mr. Jenkins. So that actually goes up because of his hourly rate. So it increases that line. If you look down through after that, there are no proposed increases until you get to office supplies at a 2% increase. And that's basically, there was one officer added to police publications there, the books that they get, law books. The next proposed increase would be to total equipment maintenance and repair. And that's due to photocopier contracts in the building. We have one in dispatch, one up above on the second floor. Total telephone cost. That major increase of 67%, that line is due to the Metro service, which runs our DMV system and the dispatch. The price from the state actually has gone up considerably, and we pay that monthly. And the overall in the dispatch proposed budget is 19.26%.
Any questions? In today's world, Chief, with, as far as publications go, is any of that stuff available online that they could get? Or is that all?
I'm not sure if 17A and 29A are available online, and they also have cheater books that we buy for each officer so that they don't have to go through the book itself. It's something that we can certainly look at if that's online. If you could put that down, David, to see. I'm not sure if it's online or not. I'm not sure.
I don't
We can
know.
look at that,
I didn't know if that was something that.
No, we can look at it for sure.
We may be able to get away from having the cheat sheet books that we have, because when we have our new printer system and the cruisers, the fine levies are already attached.
Already pre-attached? Yeah.
So we may be able to go away from that.
Okay. Next is administration.
Can I say something before the chief starts? I did realize we were going down through them all. Just, you don't have to go anywhere, just a minute. In redoing public safety wages through the union contract, we have 2 employees on the police side, or in public safety administration, and police that are non-union. And what I did with salaries related to that is, prior to the contract, there was a percentage difference between sergeant and deputy chief, and between deputy chief and public safety director. There was a percentage difference between management and hourly employees. And when the officer rates were tentatively accepted, meaning that it's not accepted until you finally do it, but the ones that are in the thing, what I did is maintain the same percentage difference between management and hourly that existed prior to the contract. To keep that same. The chief and the deputy chief are salaried. David has been working, I don't know how many shifts, more than his 40 hours a week for a very long time because we've been short-staffed. But in order to recognize that level, there has to be and the percentage difference that we had before is the same percentage difference that we have now. The numbers are different because the numbers that are driving them are different. But the other thing is that the wages proposed for the deputy chief and the public safety director, I've also looked at those for comparability in other communities that have public safety department, and they're not the highest and they're not the lowest. They're in the mid-range and the same proportion that the rates are for the officers that are kind of.
So real quick, so on this contract with the police department, how many years is that for?
3.
And what was the percentage in each year?
The next two is 3%.
And this year was?
It ranged between years of service. It wasn't consistent across, but it ranged between 13 and 18%.
And then it's dropping to 3?
That's 3 for each of the next 2 years across the board.
Thank you.
So, the public safety administration budget, as she just said, the only proposed increase is for the director and the chaplain. Everything else is 0.
Questions? Next is public safety building.
The public safety building. There's no proposed increase at this point, is my understanding, for custodial work through the company that we use there. Basically, all the way down through this budget, there's no increases proposed until you get to the natural gas. You'll see that is account 71. That's a 42.86% proposed, and electricity was at 5.8% increase. I believe that those are the only 2 proposed increases in the public safety building budget for a total of 6.4% proposed increase.
Questions? I assume, Sue, on the revenue side, we're going to see some revenue from electricity? That does it for public safety. Any questions?
I will certainly look at the K-9 thing for you. It's new, so I will change that if need be.
Thank you. Next is public utilities.
Public utilities is street lights and hydrant rental. Are the 2 driving forces on that one. And I know I have to change this.
And we want to hit source search.
Thank you. And There's a good news in the budget. Streetlights is down, even though electrical costs are up. And that's entirely because we have LED streetlights now. If you remember the contract we did last year where CMP installed all new LED lighting in our streetlights without us having to outlay the upfront cost of that and doing it as a, like the same way we paid for other streetlights. We're down considerably and will be this year, so that is a good savings. And the other good thing is that hydrant rental is that this is the number quoted by Maine Water for hydrant rental for the 22-23 year, and that's down slightly as well. So,
Any questions?
those are our public utilities.
Hearing no questions, as a reminder, next Thursday, 5:30, out to the, if everybody can meet out to the animal shelter, take a look at that first, and then come back here. I think do we have something else after that, or is it just a...
No, 5:30, but you did that so you'd have time to get out there,
Right.
do it, and get back here by
Right.
7
7 o'clock for a regular council.
Next week's council meeting will also include the fire budget and insurances and benefits. Those should be done by then, and an overall everything budget that shows the whole thing.
Are we talking about county tax tonight? Is county tax on tonight's agenda?
I did not have it. No.
Okay.
It probably should have been, but you have it in your, it's in your book. It's just didn't make it on the list for tonight.
We'll put it on next week's.
Got it.
That's one of those bills you get.
Yes.
We pay it. All right, if nothing else, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you.